Alright, today we're going to do a transmission flush on a 2010 Chevy Traverse. Alright, and this will go for the 3.6 VVT direct injection, which has also on the Acadia as well. What you'll need is 11mm ATF transmission fluid. Dextron 6 is what it calls out. They say the call out is you're going to usually dump about 3.5 quarts, but from doing it a couple of times, I've had to use about 5 quarts. So I have 2 of them, and then what you're going to need is you're going to long extension funnel as well to be able to fill it back up. Alright, so this is where you're going to fill it up right here as well. So what you want to do before you drain it, you go ahead and pull the lid off. Alright, it's got an O-ring on it that seals it very nice. If this O-ring is damaged, I would consider replacing it, and then you can see your hot and cold level. So we drove the transmission to make it hot, and now we're about to dump it. Get your pan underneath where you're gonna work. Alright, you got your 11mm. You go over here and break it loose. Alright, what I'm holding here is the drain plug. What I typically like to do before I put them in, I always like to make sure that these are nice and clean. So just get it all cleaned up before you put it back in. Alright, now that we have it drained almost all the way, it's starting to drip. It's good enough since we're just flushing it. And we'll go ahead and put the plug in. Alright, see how dark that is? Yeah, it's time for a flush. You always want to know how much you took out of there, so I always keep a couple of these empty ones around. They'll have a level, tell you how much you put in there. So I have 2 of them, and what we're going to do is we're going to dump it in there and figure out how much came out, and we'll put that exact amount back in to make life easier. Alright, so now we filled up 4 quarts in that one. We're going to go to this next one and see how much is left so we know exactly how much to put in. Last time I did this, it was exactly 5 quarts. So we'll see. Alright, we're right at around 5 quarts of what we need to put back in. Alright, so now we're going to use the long funnel. The long funnel goes in there. Make sure it's nice and clean before you put it in. Stick a long funnel in there. And usually you can get it to set pretty nice. But since I don't like it being so low, what I'll do is I always put a secondary funnel in to make it to where it's a little bit easier to pour. Alright, so we took 5 quarts out. That's what we're going to put in. 5 quarts. Transmission fluid will flow pretty decent whenever you pour it in there. So just don't go too fast because you have the smaller funnel in it. So the trick to pour is not just to go straight in like that. You actually it's better to come in like this and pour, because you can control it better from this being up top. You can control the flow better. So you would turn it upward like this and then come in and pour it in. And then as you start pouring, then you can guide it back down to the bottom. Alright, so now that this is done, you take the funnels out, and now that the funnels are out, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put the dipstick and cap back on, and you're supposed to check it when the vehicle is warm and running. So what we'll do now is we'll go run it and get it warm, and we'll check it. Alright, so before I drive it, always when I do a transmission flush, I always usually cycle it through the gears and back to park before I go. So nothing major, just make sure you cycle it through the gears, get the fluid flowing a little bit.
Sweet.
And then warm it up. Alright, so typically after I'm done and I got it warm, first thing I'm going to do is I usually get some brake cleaner and I spray it. just to make sure you get all the oil off it, just so you can check it later on to see if you see it's got oil around it, then you know it's leaking. So it's an old trick. Just spray some brake cleaner and come back and check it later. Alright, you always want to check your transmission fluid level whenever your vehicle is running, as a reminder. So now that we filled it back up and we got the motor warm, we're going to go ahead and take this off and we're going to check the fluid level on it. So clean it off, stick it back in there, come back out, and you'll see it's right where we want it to be. And that's it.